We're finally into normal programming. The Knights went down to the mighty Canberra Raiders. Did anyone expect this to happen? I did think it would be close. I did think the Knights would come out the victors I picked them by 4 in my tipping. So 1 out of 3 so far. Ain't that great. But yeah, they're really, really poor. Guys, as I said, we're into normal programming now. I'll have a very strict schedule that I'll be putting out all the videos each week. I'm going to be doing a wrap up of the actual footy games and how I saw them. A little bit about where each team is at as well, and yeah, potentially what you should be looking at with those squads, and yeah, potentially obviously the players that you might be looking at as well, and the momentum and stuff that they're building or they're losing as well. So we'll do that at the end. So we're mainly focused in here around the fantasy side of things, and who would have thought picking 6 Raiders would have been the play, minus Kotrick, because we haven't been excited about him all preseason, but all the other guys. Strange wasn't great, obviously, but he makes some money. Fantasy-wise, he was fine on the field. But yeah, we'll kick it off with Zachy Boy Hosking. So that final play was really helpful for him, obviously, with that offload, the line break assist, try assist, and some good run meters as well. So that picked him up sort of an extra 15 or so points there. 13 or 14, 15, which was really, really helpful. He was sort of in the low 50s before that final play. But happy days, that's exactly what you're hoping for with these types of guys. But obviously in this one, it's a massive score at 68 with Hosking, but the try off the kick, that was an incredible leap, by the way. The try assist, 2 turnover tackles as well. So that is something to know. I think the 2 tackle breaks, the offload, that's all going to be in his base, I think, for the most part. But that's, yeah, the other stuff there, you do expect him to be about a 50 guy. You take some of that away. 18 points, let's just say. That's the try and the try assist, line break assist, or keep 1 try assist, take away a turnover tackle, and you're sitting there around that 50 odd, which is awesome. So congrats to the Hosking buyers. At one stage I had Fogs, Hosking, Smithies, and Rapana, along with Strange and Levi. So that was the 6 that I was looking at. If you did go the 6, let me know in the comments. But I'm just so excited to have footy back regularly. Obviously a couple of games tonight. They're going to be awesome games as well. With the Wars, in that first one against the Sharkies, and then the Storm up against the Panthers is going to be absolutely hectic Friday night of footy. Cannot wait for it. But yeah, I suppose you're looking at the overall scoring, guys. There was a bunch of guys over the 50 mark, a few guys in the 40s, obviously. So not a terrible one, given the fact that especially that first 20 minutes it was 2-0. So a lot of the middles, the edges, they're going to get plenty of tackles, plenty of run meters, and as such there. Errors weren't horrendous, to be honest, compared to a lot of other games we do see in round 1. You do see a bunch of errors, obviously, in some of the top guys, but none of them that really slowed the game too much. Like, yeah, you can see plenty in there, but it didn't seem to, as I said, slow the game down too much and stop fantasy scoring from happening. But very, very excited for the Raiders to not be such a terrible team, right? And I think that's going to help their fantasy prospects. If you did pick up a couple of them, you're in the good zone, and no one's going to make a tremendous amount of money outside of like Hosking and my boy Smithies, but yeah, outside of that, a little bit of money from some other guys. So none of these guys get out of hand either. So all of these guys you can look at for the next few weeks, and I'll give you my little take on all of them. But Hosking, I think with him you had to start with him because we're unsure what's going to happen when Elliott Whitehead returns into this side. Does he go off the bench then, Elliott? And the way Hosking played, he can keep that spot. There's potential for that. Does Whitehead take a few edge minutes and take some middle minutes? It is very hard for me to see that though. Just with Horsburgh coming back, they got a lot of good middles. It's a tough one with Hosking. He might have to bide his time on the bench. I think he's a really, really good option for that as well. He can come on and make an impact. But yeah, how Ricky works out this forward pack is going to be really, really tough, I think. Yeah, that's for sure. So Hosking, awesome. Well done to everyone who bought him. Frizzell, 56 with the try. That was a really nice line run. Beat a couple of defenders there. Fairly, it was inside the 20. It wasn't even inside the 10. So good stuff, Frizzell. He seems to score pretty well regularly. But tackle numbers were a little bit down for him. Obviously in that, there are a few guys that went big in there with Smithies, but then it's sort of Hosking as an edge. 59 for Crossland was wild. So yeah, plenty of work in the middle for those that play big minutes for the Knights. Fogs, sad I didn't end up taking him. doesn't get out of hand, and that's kind of where I was looking at with Fogs, was that if he played really well, it wasn't going to get go too crazy on us, and he had a really, really good game, guys. That boot of him, long, high, very, very impressive. Ethan Strange didn't take any kick meters at all, so he's going to be more of that running 5/8, and he'll work into his own. But Fogs there, 799 kick meters. It was 800 before the update overnight, and it reminds me a little bit of that Moses game. I think he got 1,000 against the Panthers. So step up your game, Fogs, and get to 1,000. But 4 goals for him. Did miss a couple in that, obviously tough ones, but try assist there. Only 2 missed tackles and the inside 10, losing 1, so -5 overall. I think you can expect somewhere there 5 to 7 in the negatives, and got the try assist, got some goals. Overall, this is kind of what you hope for on a week-to-week basis, and that 56 average can get him up about 100k, which is awesome, and a very reliable half scorer in your side. Upset that I did move him on later on in the preseason. My final thought for him was Fogs or McInnes, and I did decide to go McInnes just because I thought he was going to be a little bit safer. But if Raiders are going to be playing like this, Fogs is the guy going forward. So he's definitely someone I'll look to get in over the next month, I'd say. But again, we can't get them all as all these guys that we want. And overall, it's been a pretty solid start scoring wise across most of the players, apart from anyone who's gotten injured, right? So that's that. Fogs, very excited about him. Joe Taps, 55. He had a nice update overnight. He had a try saver, I think, added in there. A couple offloads. No tackle breaks, so there's room for improvement on that. But 57 minutes is exactly what you want with Taps. I think that drops down just a little bit when Horsburgh comes back, when Elliott Whitehead comes back, potentially. But they actually decided to play their bench middles a lot less minutes. So all of them in the 20s. And that is helpful for guys like Taps, guys like Smithies, and the like there. So Joey, we also said, in the last week or so that he had a really full preseason, so maybe that's where the extra minutes have come from as well. But you take the 55. It's a little bit above where he's priced at, and you move on. Good stuff. Jacob Saifidi, what about the effort from him here? 437k. He'll make some money with that 53. Congrats to Jacob, but obviously not owned by many. Speaking of guys that just accumulate points, it's Dane Gagai at 52. Very, very impressive, as always. Just the one error in his game, but always gets a couple hundred meters, offloads, tackle breaks, try assists, and the like. And they didn't come in this game, those attacking stats, but for him to get 52, just in base for him. A couple of turnover tackles, obviously, but he hits hard. So, awesome for Gags. My boy Smithies. Well, this was good viewing. To be honest, I did get scared when he had the HIA. He was working hard. He was in, 20s, I think, at that point. But 69 minutes. So he only went off for the HIA. I still feel like he was going to get a rest at some point. But maybe he wasn't. And a few people said that, if he didn't get the HIA, he could have got 60. I was like, I feel like he was going to get a rest. But if he wasn't, that's good signs because they know, obviously the motor on him. This is what we expected. The big motor, and I hope a few guys did jump on. If you went him or Hosking, you're happy either way. Obviously, Hosking 60k, 64k more expensive than Smithies without the dual as well. And both these guys were unsure on their place in the team in in round 3 or 4. It's really interesting because both of them were unsure on minutes come that time. So it was like, which one do you select, or do you select both? And I suppose selecting both made it a bit tough if they were both in a reduced role come round 3 or 4. If they both manage to keep their role, then you've absolutely got a steal with 2 guys under 600k and making money. So Smithies is priced in the 37 mark there, so 15 points of value. Hosking as well, sort of 20 points of value on him, or even more than that. Sorry, I should say 25 about points on value on Hosking. So you're making money on those two, which is a great start. 69 minutes for Smithies, 46 tackles, 1 miss. They did miss a tackle break on him, but to be honest, the way that they scored missed tackles last year, I think there would have been one that he made the tackle, but the bloke's on the ground, but they fall off late. Sometimes they were giving that as a missed tackle last year, so I'm calling that a wash, and that's fine. But he had a tackle break in there. It was a clear tackle break, and they've taken it away in the overnight. But that's fine. The work rate is there. 56 in base, guys, with a couple of an error, which was a steal from Adam Elliott, and then the 1 missed tackle. So Smithies, again, I think with both him and Hosking, you had to start with them, or it's very, very difficult to select them in your side with the worry of what's going to happen with Horsburgh come round 3. But this is exactly what I wanted, and I'm very happy with that outcome. Josh Papali'i, 51 in 40 minutes. He's an impressive man. He seems to be getting, his minutes seem to be lower, but his work rate and effort, especially with him losing some kgs, is really, really good. And that was on show here, 51 in 40 minutes. Impressive. Hastings there with 51, so picked up a try. That was a nice one at that. Big tackle numbers as well. Same to that with Crossland and the full 80 minutes, and good for him to get 51 in a team that was absolutely smashed. So take a few of these Knights scores with a grain of salt. Obviously, the work that Saifiti, Frizzell had to do. We know Gagai is just an absolute top-tier gun, so that's it. Take it with a grain of salt. Hudson Young maybe gets suspended. So how many weeks that is? It'd probably be 1 or 2, to be honest with you. It's nothing crazy, so keep that in mind. But I don't think that really helps Hosking at all if it's like 1 or 2 weeks, but gives another opportunity for an edge forward to come in. Maybe they can play someone else on that edge if it is 2 weeks, and say round 3 means Horsburgh can play on that edge like he did a little bit last year, which was interesting. So we'll see what's happening there, or just Whitehead comes back early. We'll find out. But again, we'll see what happens. Adam Elliott, 53 minutes. So we didn't really think that Crossland was going to take a lot of minutes, like 50. Coggar was going to take a lot of minutes there. 51 for him. Obviously replaced Elliott in the 13 role. Elliott looked okay at best. Again, 2 errors in this one missed tackle. We know he can work. He adds his crab runs, so great for fantasy, which is obviously a reason we look at him, because he can get offloads, he can get tackle breaks with those sideways angled runs, right? Did get 2 turnover tackles in this one. Obviously did get bumped up, thankfully, to the 45 after being 39 last night. The minutes are a little bit of a worry. Spent some time out at centre, I believe, at the end of this as well, and they had... Who they have on the wing? They had a couple of injuries, right? And Tuala was out, unfortunately, and they had to shuffle things around as well. So nothing worked out great. Elliott still makes like a couple of $1,000, and it's not bad at all. But he could be a very, very easy target if you did select him to go to like Taylor May. Only 1.9% owned. Obviously, with Elliott, you'd rather go, if you needed a mid-suite, but you'd obviously have rather gone for Hosking. I think Elliott will be better than this. Again, that could push him to the 50 mark, but not a slam dunk at all. Someone who is a slam dunk, Geordie Raps. What a wild game for him. Very, very thankful. Obviously, I took him, and he got a little bit lucky with that try, given he was dealing with cramps for the last 28 minutes of the game. So to still get 44, I'm very happy with. There's a lot of runs there as well, where to get 186 meters, but a lot of runs there where he would normally get a tackle break or 2, but they defended him well. They chopped his legs, which I think is what Raiders did really well with Ponga. Anytime he had that late step, the guys just launched at him and got him around the legs, around the hips, and were able to get him down without letting him run too far. I think they did that well with Raps as well. But to be in the right place at the right time on that left wing to score that try, I was very thankful for it. But there'd be other games there where he stays at 1 and he gets a few more of those junk tackle breaks and puts on try assists and the like if he's in full flight. But I suppose that's the issue sometimes with not having a preseason, is that cramps are going to come and smash you there, that's for sure. But Raps, he makes some good money, priced at 35. That's happy days for me there, not spending up at wing fullback and getting a guy that can pick up a 44. Very, very happy with that. That's for sure. So, let's hope that he stays there for next week at least with the Tigers. I think he will. The good thing with this win, guys, for the Raiders is that the amount of changes I think that will be made for this Raiders side is probably pretty low, to be honest with you, outside of a suspension if Hudson Young gets it. And I don't like that at all. Like, why are you hitting Ponga off the ball late? We know that, obviously one of the superstars of our game. It's just some of these like little small brain snaps that players can have. I get it. It's, the emotions are high, the tensions are high, but it was a weird one. He was passed the ball a long time before he did that to him. But a few people were saying like, oh, it looks really worse when it's slowed down, but you shouldn't be hitting him at all in that scenario, especially in the head. And like, Ponga almost whacked his head on the ground, the big whiplash down there. That's enough for him, especially we've seen with guys that have had multiple concussions. It's enough for him to get another one. It's just detrimental to these players' health. Like, they love the game, it's going to be there, but we don't need unnecessary concussions. It's going to happen otherwise, like in normal tackles and the rest. But that's not when we need it. So hopefully yeah, he learns from that, Hudson. Rups, yep, happy days with that. Gamble 41, Crossland 40. He plays 73 minutes as well. So Cogger to get 51, Crossland to get 73. That wasn't expected. So that's the other issue on Elliott, for sure. But they'll have to sort out this team, Knights, because the errors and stuff in there were terrible. But we'll get into that in that final show of the week on the Sunday will be the plan there. Cog got 38, so he'll lose a little bit of cash. Crossland, as I said, he could have started with, made a tiny bit at 521, what he's priced at, just a couple of points of value. Cogger, yep, lose a bit of cash. We'll see what happens with him later. Leah Thompson, 37. Just expected more from him. 62 run meters, not enough. He looked way better than that in the All-Stars. And yeah, he won't be, it looks like he's going to get similar minutes and he won't be a guy to dominate this year. Especially when like Lucas plays 66 minutes. We'll have to see what's happened with him. HIA 2 didn't pass it. So not sure if he will make next game. Looks like probably not. And if that's the case, then Kaipius Ball is the interesting one to look at. We'll speak about in a sec. But Lucas, 36. It was just really hard to start with him given he was going to be sharing time. And he did play left edge and then moved to, when Twyla went off, he went into the centers as well. So, yeah, not a great score to look at. And if you did start with him, I think he's an easy one to pivot from. For sure. Ponga, the 35, the big talking point of this video, given he was pretty highly owned at 21%, I should say. So was 40 overnight, down to 35. That makes it a bit tough. But obviously that line break that he did, pushing through the tackle bot Smithies and not sure who else. Then Smithies got a HIA from it. I was like, yeah, this is beautiful. Thankfully, it was just a big cut. But 35 for Pong. So the line break there could have got up a bit higher. He obviously kicked a few out in the full, so 3 errors. He had a penalty. Yeah, a lovely offload from Kaipius Paul that, Ponga didn't catch as well. So heaps of opportunities to do really well. Obviously, the running meters were there, which is great. But overall, you're wanting 50 plus. A few people captained him as well. So if you did captain him, just really, really try and push for the rest of the round to get things right with your side and make sure you get the correct selections, because it is only one round, guys. So don't stress too heavily on that. I was 35,000 after 2 rounds last year, ended up 101st. So don't stress too much on that front with your round 1 scores, but just focus on selecting the correct people for your sides. Ponga, he will bounce back. Even if against the better teams, he can score really well, and hopefully that they can sort things out, because they were terrible in this one. They looked incredible the first 5 minutes. It was like, oh god, they were going to put on a clinic, and then really just fell away with their own smashing themselves basically. Timoko at 35, a little bit under what he's priced at. Albert Hopewadi at 35. A big question mark next week is where does Seb Chris go? So we'll have to find out in those round 2 team lists. Excited for that, obviously. Kaipius Paul, 34 and 40. Could start next week. I think at 520, he's not, like, if he gets big minutes, awesome. But will he, play 65 or something like that with, someone coming on to cover that? Is it enough to buy? Probably not, unless Lucas is out longer term. I think Whisperer put out that he's on the Kaipius Paul train, so take this with a grain of salt. But it's like, apparently suspected broken jaw, but yeah, I'm not sure about that one as of yet. We'll find out soon. Levi. So I had basketball last night, right? Just before 8 o'clock, 7:50 game. So I had my phone on Do Not Disturb, and apparently there was a lot of Levi, a lot of scared Levi fans. I put in the private group just a post saying, I feel so gross owning Danny Levi. I was looking at his stats. I was looking at the trial. I was like, I just think he's going to score so poorly. Really, really good try. So congrats to Levi on that. That helped us, and he's going to make a bit of cash, priced at 21. 10 points of value, so he makes sort of 20k or so. If we can get him upwards of sort of 350 or something, then that would be great. These minutes are awesome, and he had a corked quad in the end. So hopefully he's fine. It sounds like he's hoping to be good for round 2. And hopefully he can still play some good minutes in round 2. If he gets down to like a 30-minute or he doesn't play, if he doesn't play, it's probably not the worst thing. Just to, I imagine his minutes won't be super high, but hopefully he's just fine. He would have been coming off, I think, at that time anyway. 57 minutes straight. I definitely thought Starling would play a few more minutes, but that's, we're looking at this going, Starling played a bunch of 20-odd minute games at the back end of last year, so maybe that is the way they played. And if Levi is to get 57 minutes each and every week, he will be a 30s guy, I think. So just a weird one. He had 2 penalties, 2 missed tackles, and an error. So 10 in negatives in that first half, basically. So before he got that try. So big savior. I think 10 at halftime, the guys were telling me, because I obviously watched it on delay. We'll take the money making, take the cover. A bit gross, but we got there. Marzu 30, Savage 30 as well. So both those guys not super highly owned. Obviously Marzu there 0.8. He had a cracking back end of last year. Savage at 4.3, so a little bit more relevant. 350, got the try. Probably about what we expect. 20 odd to 30. Obviously in this one would have been a lot lower without the try. We still haven't got to Nick Kotrick. I wonder why. Daniel Saifidi, 45 minutes. So Jacob had a bigger one. Bradman Best, 27. Good on him. Mariota, 24 and 30. So I think he'll be able to score a little bit more if that's the minutes he's going to get. But again, there's a few guys to return. We have Emre Gula in there as well. So 27 minutes. And as I'm saying, guys, all these bench guys for the Raiders got 30 minutes or below. So Starling, 24. Salo, 23. Gula, 27. And Mariota, 30. So yeah, very, very interesting stuff. That's the way they're going to play their middles. At least they're all playing, 20 odd minutes, and that's expected if you've got some big guys with big motors. Obviously, he plays his edges for 80 minutes or tries to, and yeah, that's exactly how I think it's going to play out going forward. Especially when you've got Horsburgh to come back, you've got Elliott Whitehead to come back. I just don't see any more minutes from these bench guys, and I think you have to leave them out at this point. But their bench is so strong. Their forwards are so big, so strong. So Raiders could do fine on the back of that. They always have a good, strong forward pack, and if Foggs is leading them around like he is, with a little bit of flair in the outside backs, with the Savages, with Rapinen and all those guys, then happy days. Oh, we're up to Kotrick now, 22. He does make money though, just. So I'll give you that one to you. I think he's priced at 19. Levi's 21, so 19 for Kotrick, makes a couple of K. He had a couple of big runs too, a couple of passes from Geordie. They got him a few sideways crab carries, but unless he's scoring tries, I just see him being like a late teens to 20, and I do see him losing his spot. But we'll have to wait and see what happens if Albert Hopewadi goes to a wing or stays at centre, and does Rap stay at fullback. There's a lot to think about there for sure with Kotrick, but hope for all your sakes that he does maintain his spot in the side. Strange, 21. We'll go to him, guys. Obviously, for him, the defensive workload was good. 25 tackles, 4 misses. He had 1 turnover tackle, 22 run meters. So no kick meters. So the worry here is, can you start him in your centers each and every week? Right? I think the good news of them playing the Tigers next week means that he might be able to get some attack. But outside of that, he could be a 20s guy and just a very slow burn, considering I think he's priced at 17 or 18 at 250, 16 at 230. That's not much money you're making. But he's going to be the guy there that can cover center, can cover half. If things go wrong in those positions, I may look like, especially half, I'm going to look to get Foggs in pretty quick. But yeah, that's where we're at. With Strange, if you played him, it's 21. It's not the worst in the world. It could be 10. But you're not super excited about that. And you probably do want to look to get a little bit of cover or someone that you could start there next week. Whether that was Seb Chris for you, whether that was, it's Sully, it's Penasini, it's Carraz, it's all those guys. That's where I would be looking, personally. And then that's it, really. Raiders, Knights, in the books. These first round reviews are going to be a little bit longer just because it's the first time we've seen these guys in a game. If you guys like the longer ones, awesome. For those that give me crap in the comments about them being dragged out, this is me hanging out with you guys. A lot of you guys really enjoy watching this stuff, and if you don't, then that's okay. Just don't watch it. But or if you're coming for a certain player, just scroll to that. I go from top to bottom each and every time. You can work out where I'm at, obviously, just by skipping through in the video. So if you want to do that, that's awesome. Some people like it all. That's good stuff. But that's the first one. I'm so keen for tonight's games, and I hope you have a cracking Friday. Plenty of sun out, no clouds at the moment. Good stuff. And yeah, see you in the next one.